Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an interesting year or so in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Last year, when they came back from COVID, they made a lot of decisions that we didn't agree with, but we still enjoyed the product for the most part, and we still somewhat do. But the problem is, this G1 Climax does not do anything for either one of us to the point that we have agreed for our mental health, for our real lives outside of TwitWoW, and really just kind of for our sanity, which kind of goes along with the mental health thing, that we are going to choose not to cover the G1 Climax this year. This is not necessarily the end of New Japan coverage on TwitWoW. It's definitely not the end of G1 Climax coverage on TwitWoW. We just aren't feeling it this year. So, John, if you'd like to add anything, please do.
From my perspective, not to make this commentary longer than it needs to be, I think this is good for our relationship with New Japan long term. Because I don't hate New Japan. Ashton doesn't hate New Japan.
No.
But I don't want, and I don't want to speak for Ashton here, so I'm going to specify when I feel like remarks are coming from me, and if Ashton agrees, he's more than willing to do so. But speaking for myself, I don't want New Japan to become WWE 2.0, where we only watch it because it's habitual.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't watch it out of, like, an active choice to, like, oh, fuck yeah, New Japan, the way it is with Stardom. But it's just, oh, well, it's WWE, and I've been watching it for 20 plus years. I don't want to get to that place in New Japan where there isn't even any genuine love. It's just kind of like a process, like eating, sleeping, and stuff like that. And I think, like Ashton said at the beginning, we haven't agreed with their booking decisions. I have been very vocal. To Ashton's credit, he's been better about it than I've been, but I've been very vocal that I think the G1 this year sucks. I'm still rooting for Sonata to win it. I'm still hoping they have a compelling winner. And I have no doubt, I'm quite confident we'll still be covering Wrestle Kingdom, although that's going to be interesting because it's going to be a 3-night event, and I'm sure that'll be a whole separate discussion. But I don't want us to cover New Japan just because it exists. I want us to cover wrestling that we like because, as I've said to you guys before, when it comes to SmackDown reviews and stuff like that, I like being positive with you guys. I don't want to come up here and rant 10 million times, especially when the rants get very repetitive after a while. You can see every rant in every other rant. I like talking about good stuff. SmackDown was really entertaining last night, and I love the energy of our commentary. Here it would just be like, I feel like I'd be going through the motions. I'm sure there'd be great matches here and there, but not enough to warrant Ashton and I investing the time and the energy that it would take to produce this kind of content.
And that's the thing, too, is we can still keep up with the tournament. Because we won't be covering it, this basically opens thing up to people talking about the tournament in the live and the wrestling discussion channels of our Discord. So, we're not going to have to worry about avoiding spoilers now because we're not covering it. So we don't have to feel like we have our super fresh, new, never before seen reactions kind of thing. So we're going to be able to be more lenient about people talking about it on the regular non-spoiler channels, which I'm cool with. And just kind of in general, it's going to be a lot more relaxed this year. We're still going to be able to keep up with it, though. We're still going to be able to watch some of the matches that we're really into. We'll probably watch most of night one, actually, on our own time. But the problem is, I'm still in the process of moving, and I have packing to do. And then when I do get moved, I'm still going to have other shit to get in order. And I just don't have the time right now to dedicate 2 hours, 3 or 4 days a week in the afternoon, which would be like the prime time for me to get shit done, to watching New Japan matches when they're not even giving me the best matches they could.
Yeah, and again, just to kind of speak on my side of things, I mean, Ash and I were already discussing, guys, like that, we'd be totally devoted to the A block, but we'd be more selective in the B block. But we never wanted to be those guys. We've talked about that. We've never wanted to be those guys that are like, oh, well, I'm just watching one block and skipping the other, because we loved when we felt like New Japan was genuinely on a high, being like, oh, well, you guys don't know what you're missing out on. Like, there are quality competitors in both blocks. And I would rather we abstain from covering it altogether than being one of those people.
Exactly.
Than being one of those people that's like, oh, well, we'll just be super selective. Because I think with TwitWoW, it's either we're all in or we're not. We're not really those that, like, play in the ambiguity of half-heartedness and this and that, because half-heartedness makes crap content. and we're not like that. We don't
And to
want to
be
be
fair,
like
even
that.
if we would have continued to cover the G1 in this, we would have literally skipped every single Yoshihashi match. We would have skipped a bunch of like Tamatonga and Yujiro and other matches, and like it wouldn't have been full coverage anyway. And at this point, just because of how much scheduling the G1 has kind of shown me how much it kind of takes over our lives when it happens, I would rather not cover it at all than cover it half-heartedly.
Exactly, exactly.
Because,
So
dude, you got to
I think,
realize I have had the TWitWoW schedule pulled up and in the works for probably a good 2 weeks now. Probably since the first couple days in September. I've had it pulled up and I've been just kind of working on it, adding to it. And if we were to cover the G1, we would have a commentary literally every single day from yesterday until October 1st.
yeah, Jesus,
And
Jesus.
that's including not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but six double recording days.
Yeah, guys, that's insane. You know, like we all have our own lives to get through. We've all been going through this pandemic and everything. Ashton said on his front personally, he's going through a move. You know, I know sometimes even for me on a more basic level, I've got to be very conscientious of when I schedule certain appointments because I never want it to overlap with TwitWow time. Like I have a dentist appointment
Yeah,
coming up on the 23rd at 1. And
dude, and
Ashton and I
even
talked
on
about,
my
oh, like,
end,
yeah,
like I've got PT now that I do 3 days a week. That's
yeah.
on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for me. And I've got my mom and I have both got a bunch of doctor appointments coming up that I'm going to have to reschedule PT too. And I don't want to have to worry about recordings on top of that.
No, no, that's ridiculous. You know, guys, and we know it from you guys too. You guys always talk about the lives you have outside of listening to our content. And, you know, we've all got those lives to juggle and things we'd like to pursue. And I think, you know, I'm proud of us for doing this because if nothing else, I think it shows that we really have our priorities straight.
Yeah.
And, you know, if
I
New
don't know
Japan
if I'd
isn't
go as
putting
far
out
as to say that I'm proud of us, but I am definitely happy that we're making this decision either way.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's putting our best foot forward. And I only say proud of us because, and again, I circle back to the primary point, it doesn't feel like New Japan is putting its best foot forward.
Right.
So if it's not putting its best foot forward, we shouldn't like go all in because then that's an asymmetry where New Japan benefits. So yeah, I think ultimately thinking about this, and again from the get go, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like I couldn't even hide it. I'm like, this is really lackluster. And then, you know, and Ashton's like, well, you know, man, maybe, you know, we don't have to. And I'm like, you know, cool. And he's like, you want to shoot a video or do Twitter? And I'm like, oh no, I think we could do a video. I think
Yeah.
that warrants it.
And I think
So
too that like we didn't even think to do preview and predictions for the G1 this year. Like, you know, a show is insignificant to us, or a tournament is insignificant, especially a tournament. I feel like we really are always on like our bracketology bullshit with tournaments. But if it doesn't inspire us to do a preview and prediction or a bracketology, you know that there's something not right. Something's not clicking for us, you know?
absolutely. I mean, guys, look at how invested we've been in the 5-star this year. We've been keeping up
Exactly.
with that on the channel.
Yep.
Even with Julia being out of the running, if anything, we're almost even more enthralled because now it really is unpredictable who's going to win. And we've been getting really behind Momo, and Ashton's still thinking about like Mayu could come from behind and win it, and maybe Himeka will do it. Like, there's an energy there and an excitement there where when it comes to New Japan, I'm just hoping and praying that fucking Sonata wins it. I guess I'd be okay with Okada winning it. And after my rant on Naito, I'd certainly be cool with him winning it. But no Suzuki, no Jay White, no Juice. Like, now, if
No
those three guys
Mox.
were here even next year, no what? I'm sorry?
No Mox.
No Mox. You know, no Brian, who, you know, again, that's not on them. I'm not going to put that on them, but I know a lot of people were hoping.
Right.
But if next year.
Well, but that's the thing, exactly. Next year, if they bring all those guys in, next year we are going to be more than happy to do preview and predictions and be back in the saddle covering the G1 again.
Absolutely.
And I was even thinking about
Absolutely.
that with the BOSJ too, because the BOSJ that we saw in like 2018 and 2019, I think were the two that we covered, especially the one in 2018, if I remember correctly, was so fucking fun. I think I even enjoyed that more than the G1 that year. And now they're just doing these shitty like combined tournaments where they're doing the BOSJ and the World Tag League at the same time. and it's not even 2 blocks, and they don't have any Gaijin talent, and it just feels so empty compared to the full BOSJ tournaments that we got a couple years ago. And I'm not even trying to say that this is New Japan's fault. I'm just saying that we shouldn't be expected to be fully invested in something that New Japan can't help but to not put out their best effort on because they don't have access to a lot of their best talents.
Exactly. And we still do care for New Japan and we still enjoy it, but we've also been very outspoken that some of the booking decisions have been questionable to us. I don't like that there's no longer an Intercontinental Champion. Neither one of us, and I know I speak for both of us on that. I know I also speak for both of us when neither one of us cared for the Evil experiment that they did.
I mean, you say cared like past tense, but I feel like it's still happening.
Yeah, exactly. So we
just because he's not the world champion doesn't mean that he's not still being pushed as a main eventer. He definitely is.
He definitely is, and he's the leader of his own sub-faction within Bullet Club, which means they're still going to do the Jay White Evil story, which I'm sorry, I think is a complete waste of Jay White.
Yep.
And I'd rather cool our relationship with New Japan, at least in this context, while we still have good feelings, again, rather than having it become another WWE thing where it's like, oh, I guess it's on, so, no, like, I want it to be good. And I think, by us doing this, it's, again, both us kind of organizing our priorities with everything we've got going on.
That was Batista.
Are
you good?
Saying,
okay.
Yeah, and just also saying that, like, you got to be better, New Japan. Just, just in those little areas. So, yeah, I feel really good about this decision. I was happy when Ashton kind of told me, like, he wanted to go this route. And, again, we agreed we would go and do this commentary. So I've got nothing else to say, guys. Just no G1 this year. We appreciate your understanding, and Ashton, if you've got anything else to say, I think we can go home with this.
Just because Jason asked, Evil isn't horrible. He's just boring, and he doesn't feel like a main event talent. I think John and I have always kind of seen him as like an intercontinental champion at best. Like that's his ceiling, and he's held that title before, but now it doesn't exist. So they just feel like they have to push him to the world title, and it's miserable. It sucks. The world championship has always felt like a very exclusive thing in New Japan. Like, for the longest time, there were only ever really 4 guys competing for that title at any given time. I know when we first got into it, it was pretty much just Styles, Nakamura, Tanahashi, and Okada. Then when Styles left, Ibushi kind of got pushed, and Omega eventually ended up being that 4th guy. Then when Omega left, it kind of felt like Naito was getting the big main event push, and Ibushi recently, like it's always felt like a very exclusive club. And as soon as they put it on Evil, it stopped feeling like that. And now it's on Shingo, and it's still like, and especially because like it went from Evil, and then I don't even know who won it from Evil, honestly. But as soon as it went from Evil to whoever, I think Ibushi might have even won it from Evil. I don't even know. But Ibushi felt legit, felt like that main event caliber guy. But then it went to Ospreay, and Ospreay, it's like, didn't really feel like that main event in New Japan caliber kind of guy just yet either. And then Ospreay got hurt, and now it's on Shingo, and Shingo doesn't really feel that way to me either. Like, it just feels like they're going out of their way to push the upper mid-card into the main event prematurely, and the main eventers in the meantime are just twiddling their thumbs, not really doing anything particularly interesting. So it's frustrating. It's not a lot of fun. John, I don't think I have anything else to say. You already said that you pretty much said your piece, so if we're good, I can go home.
Let's go home.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we know that this is probably going to come as a disappointment to a lot of you, but just know that this is for the best for us, for our product, for our content, for our mental health, for our schedules, and really maybe even for you, because this way you won't feel swamped when you see, you miss checking on YouTube for a few days and then you check and you see 6 videos uploaded by TWitWoW in the time that you missed. That's never fun. I've been there. I've done that with other content creators, and I usually just end up not watching any of it. So hopefully you're all as interested in watching the Stardom content that we've been putting out that we are interested in putting it out. It's been wonderful. And we've also got, Extreme Rules coming up next weekend. And then the week after that is the WWE Draft. And you already know we always do content for that. We're going to end up doing a mock fantasy draft for that prior to it starting. We are going to have more content coming at you in the future. We've got some Joshi shows happening on October 9th that we might cover. And then, of course, let's not allow ourselves to forget, we might end up covering King of Pro Wrestling this year, but we might not. The absolute latest that our next New Japan Live reaction will be is Wrestle Kingdom next year. But There's a very strong chance we'll still react to King of Pro Wrestling if the card looks good. Otherwise, though, we hope that you're all looking forward to the Stardom stuff and the WWE stuff and the NXT stuff. I will continue talking to people about AEW in the Discord because I've been watching pretty much every AEW TV show that's been on for the last month or so. So I've been keeping up with that product now. I've been more into it. I've been enjoying that at least more than Raw, which I think just kind of sucks. Um, I'm excited about the new NXT. We hope you are too. And just kind of in general, we hope to see you around. And in order for that to happen, we need you all to remember to stay tuned.